In Colombia, despite public policies aimed at ensuring universal access to education, disparities in educational quality remain a persistent reality. Public schools in rural areas, such as those in Casanare, often struggle with serious deficiencies in infrastructure, resources, and teacher training. The lack of funding and insufficient teacher training in these areas have contributed to the decline in educational quality compared to private institutions, which benefit from better resources. Research on educational disparities in Latin America indicates that the gap between public and private education has widened in recent decades, leaving low-income students, especially those in rural areas, with limited options for receiving quality education. In Colombia, despite policies aimed at ensuring equitable education, public schools have experienced a decline in quality due to underfunding and inadequate teacher training. According to a report by the Colombian Ministry of Education, the shortage of resources and the lack of professional development opportunities. Access to education in the 21st century goes beyond the traditional image of students in classrooms guided by a teacher. Today, education faces a series of complex challenges, including quality, accessibility, the use of technology, and socioeconomic conditions, factors that shape the educational landscape in countries like Colombia, particularly in rural regions such as Casanare, Boyacá, and Cundinamarca. The situation in this department clearly reflects the global issues faced by education in the 21st century. Colombian education faces significant challenges related to accessibility, quality, and equity, particularly in rural areas. While the country has made efforts to expand educational coverage, disparities between urban and rural schools remain evident. Many rural institutions struggle with inadequate infrastructure, limited access to technology, and a shortage of well-trained teachers. Socioeconomic factors also play a crucial role, as children from low-income families often face difficulties staying in school due to the need to work and contribute to household income. Additionally, while English education is part of the national curriculum, it is often not effectively implemented in public schools, limiting students' opportunities for global competitiveness. Addressing these challenges requires increased investment in education, teacher training programs, and policies that bridge the gap between private and public schooling. Education has increasingly incorporated electronic and technological devices to enhance classroom performance. The integration of digital tools and bilingual education policies has been a priority in Colombia. However, a significant digital divide persists, preventing many students from accessing these technological resources. Studies indicate that rural areas in Colombia still face serious challenges in internet connectivity, with over 30% of rural schools lacking reliable electricity supply. This raises concerns about whether technological advancements truly benefit all students or simply widen the gap between those who have access and those who do not. For students in rural areas, the lack of internet access and digital devices limits their ability to engage in online learning or use language learning applications, which are becoming increasingly important in bilingual education initiatives. Equity in digital education remains a pressing issue, as marginalized communities are often left behind in the adoption of new learning methodologies. Another critical challenge in the Colombian educational system is the lack of motivation among students to pursue formal education, particularly in learning a foreign language. Many cities and towns in Colombia do not provide environments that encourage language learning or demonstrate the advantages of acquiring a second language. In rural areas, economic conditions often force children and teenagers to prioritize work over education, with many engaging in agriculture or mining activities from a young age. Moreover, the absence of immersive language learning experiences, such as bilingual cultural spaces or exchange programs, reduces students' incentive to invest time in learning English or another foreign language. According to Gomez and Restrepo, language acquisition is significantly influenced by the availability of real-life practice opportunities, which remain scarce in non-urban Colombian regions. Challenge equity and access challenges to ensuring inclusive, quality education for all students. Education is a fundamental right and a key driver of social and economic development in any nation. However, in remote regions such as Casanare, Colombia, significant challenges hinder access to inclusive and quality education. This analysis aims to identify the key aspects that need to change in the education of remote schools in Casanare and examines a specific challenge that education faces in the 21st century, reducing inequality in access to quality education. According to Diaz and Vasquez, technology has the potential to transform education, but if not implemented equitably, it can generate new forms of exclusion. This is evident in the contrasts between the learning opportunities available to urban and rural students. Developing digital skills in vulnerable populations fosters essential competencies in the digital era, such as critical thinking, access to high-value research information, and effective communication. Supporting equitable and inclusive learning. The EDUCAUSE Horizon report highlights various challenges that the COVID-19 pandemic brought to education in the effort to return to normality, such as inequity in access to global technological tools that are essential for academic growth. It also emphasizes the importance of reviewing educational policies and practices through a lens of equity and equality, ensuring that students from diverse backgrounds develop equitably. Additionally, it suggests the need for measurable, specific objectives that strengthen institutional development. Integration of education for development. Access to technological tools is essential as it equalizes students' rights regardless of their grade level, age, or economic situation. To steer education toward a better future, it is crucial to develop educational methodologies with innovative approaches, prioritizing the exploration of integrative strategies that connect education for sustainable development with the school curriculum from its foundation. Proposal for an educational project. A proposed educational project could address a pressing environmental issue within the community, starting with local research and scaling up through technological resources to a departmental and national level. This research and/or pedagogical model should be supported by state resources aimed at, for example, improving solid waste management and conserving the community's water resources. The initiative should integrate students into the social framework and foster values and a greater sense of social responsibility. The primary objective would be to create harmony between the community and technology through research. Integration of education for development. For education to move toward a better future, it is essential to develop educational methodologies with innovative approaches, prioritizing the exploration of integrative approaches that successfully integrate education for sustainable development with the school curriculum from the ground up. An educational project design is proposed to address, for example, a latent environmental problem in the community. Research is based on local approaches and scaled to departmental and national levels through technological resources. This research and/or pedagogical model must have state resources directed toward, for example, addressing the management of solid resources and the conservation of water resources in the community. This project should not only involve students in the social fabric, but also develop values and a greater social awareness. The main objective could be to create harmony between the community and technology through research. Several factors directly relate to the challenges of guaranteeing inclusive education, including inequality and lack of opportunities. Disparities persist mainly due to economic status, gender, age, disabilities, and other social factors. These barriers often hinder access to quality education, as many students face significant obstacles to inclusion in the educational system. There is a continuous need for increased investment in education and capacity development. Such investment is crucial, particularly for providing quality educational opportunities to vulnerable populations. Discrimination in education takes many forms, affecting students from diverse backgrounds, especially those in remote areas. The primary challenges in these regions include outdated educational resources and limited access to technology-driven programs. It is essential to promote economic growth that includes all educational stakeholders, teachers, students, and institutions. Aligning education with labor market demands can help foster relevant skills for all social groups, ensuring that no student is left behind. To address the lack of inclusion, equity, and access to educational technology, we propose an innovative yet simple methodological approach, making access to technological services, or AST, mandatory in marginalized areas. This initiative aims to improve the quality of education for all rural students equally. Some strategies include introducing mobile libraries with hard-to-access books and providing virtual tools via satellite technology to expand students' knowledge and facilitate meaningful, structured learning. The proposed educational reform and technological integration yield multiple benefits, including: first, inclusion and representation. It ensures equal access to education for students in marginalized and rural areas. It also encourages cultural diversity and social participation in learning spaces. Second, reducing the educational gap. This approach addresses inequality in learning resources by providing technological tools to underserved communities. It creates equal opportunities for students regardless of socioeconomic background. Third, quality of research and findings. It enhances data collection and analysis for evidence-based educational policies. Additionally, it fosters collaborative research on local and global issues. Fourth, empowerment through knowledge. The reform equips students with critical thinking, digital skills, and problem-solving abilities. It promotes self-sufficiency by connecting education with real-world applications. Fifth, innovation and development. It integrates STEM education, AI learning tools, and project-based learning to foster creativity and technological proficiency. It also encourages entrepreneurship and career readiness among students. Lastly, social and environmental impact. The approach strengthens community ties through collaborative sustainability projects. It promotes environmental consciousness by integrating eco-friendly initiatives into the curriculum. The challenge is equity and access to education. Ensuring inclusive and quality education for all students is a fundamental challenge that many countries face, including Colombia. According to a review conducted by the Secretary General of the OECD on national education policies in 2016, significant disparities exist between rural and urban areas, primarily due to socio-economic factors. These disparities affect students' access to quality education and create barriers that hinder their academic development and future opportunities. Recognizing this issue, Colombia has implemented various policies to bridge the educational gap between urban and rural areas. Among these strategies, one of the most impactful is the provision of transportation bonuses for students in remote areas. These bonuses help mitigate the financial burden of commuting to school, ensuring that children and teenagers in rural areas have the opportunity to receive an education. In this section, we will explore how this transportation subsidy specifically addresses the challenge of access to education in the municipality of Paim, Cundinamarca. How does this relate to Sustainable Development Goal 4? Target 4.7 of the Sustainable Development Goal. 4 aims to ensure that all students acquire the knowledge and skills necessary to promote sustainable development. This includes fostering equitable education opportunities that reduce social inequalities and enhance inclusivity. Sustainable development is commonly understood from 3 perspectives: economic sustainability, which focuses on long-term financial growth and stability; environmental sustainability, which emphasizes the protection and responsible use of natural resources; and social sustainability, which seeks to ensure equal opportunities and access to essential services such as education, regardless of an individual's socioeconomic background. In the context of Paim, the primary focus is social sustainability, ensuring that all students, regardless of their family's financial situation or geographical location, can access education under equal conditions. The school route vouchers implemented in Paim serve as a direct response to this goal, reducing educational inequalities and promoting fairness and access to learning opportunities. How is this evidenced in Paim? Paim, like many rural municipalities in Colombia, faces significant challenges in ensuring equitable access to education. Many students live in remote areas where transportation to school is costly and time-consuming. Some of the key issues include high daily transportation costs. Without financial assistance, families would have to cover daily transportation expenses that could exceed 60,000 pesos per day, depending on the distance. Also, long travel distances. Some students reside in areas that are 2 to 3 hours away from their school, requiring travel by motorcycle or other means. This makes regular school attendance difficult and discourages continued education. To address these barriers, the school route voucher policy was introduced as a social protection measure. By covering transportation expenses, this initiative ensures that students can attend school without their financial situation or geographical location becoming an obstacle. As a result, school attendance rates improve, as students who would otherwise drop out due to transportation costs are now able to continue their education. Educational equity is reinforced, ensuring that rural students have the same learning opportunities as their urban counterparts. Social sustainable development is supported, as access to education empowers individuals and communities, fostering long-term social progress.